We're just wanting to give everyone a picture of what it's going to be like on February 23rd. And I am assuming the role of Chris Sneddon right now. He's going to be here helping out with his microphone, talking to everyone as they're working. And of course, imagine that the studio is full. All the chairs are full. And then Natalie's with us from Toronto. And maybe I'll just let you kick it off, Natalie, by explaining to us how you're going to start the day with the creative flow exercise.
So, hello everyone. I'm really looking forward to working together with a small group of people at Clayworks as part of a exploration about our work, our process, and learning how to engage in dialogue and give feedback to each other to help us propel our work forward. Part of that journey will be starting with a creative flow exercise where everybody will gather around and start the day with having several small pieces of clay prepared. And I will be leading you through a lot of spontaneous making with prompts of words or sounds that can just sort of give you a little quick, responsive, creative time. The act of making spontaneously without having that need to create something perfect or something saleable is really freeing. And this creative flow exercise can be something that can help you jumpstart new directions or further develop the ideas that you've had brewing in your mind for a while. Participants can do this activity either through hand building or through working on the wheel if they are able to do that within the time restrictions that we will be having. The time restrictions, for folks who are wondering why restrict the time, it really just helps you work in that spontaneous nature without worrying about completion or anything else like that. And we really want to embrace that free flowing state.
So, Natalie, we were thinking we could give people a sense of what it's going to be like because you've asked everyone to bring a piece of work to
Yes.
share, or maybe a couple pieces so that they can
Mhm.
talk a bit about what they're working on, maybe what they're struggling with. So, just as an example, Cesia has a couple questions here for the
Yeah.
group.
Okay, wonderful.
This is a teapot that I threw a little while ago. I guess my questions are mainly about lids, right?
Okay,
'Cause this is a teapot. I
beautiful.
just
And
wasn't
that
really
is
sure
a
about it.
is that a pulled handle at the top?
It is, it is. And then I
Nice.
dried it on the side, and then once it
Hmm.
was leather hard, I attached it. But I guess my question is mainly for glazing. Like,
Yes.
I glazed the gallery of the teapot and I glazed the inner lid, right? So
Yes.
this rim would be sitting in the gallery.
Hmm.
I just feel like, I don't know.
Security of the fit a little bit, right?
I think so. So I guess, I don't know. Should I be doing that? Or maybe I should just leave my gallery unglazed. I'm just not sure for my future
Well,
teapots whether or
that's
not.
a really, really good question. When we're looking at functional forms that we have a lot of references to look at out there. So commercially produced teapots, when we're looking at them, they often have that fully glazed surface that comes together where those two pieces meet because they're fired separately. And those are often less prone to warping than a hand-built wheel thrown form because they're often slip cast or press molded in factory manufacturing situations. So, having experimented with both of those techniques, I've found that when I want to leave the glazed surfaces together and fire them separately, I almost have to exaggerate the size of my gallery and the components of how they fit together a little bit to deal with that. And one of the things I noticed you have, when you lifted up the lid, you've got a sort of flange or a foot on the bottom of the lid, and it looks pretty nice and compact. So that little bit of extra weight that's on the bottom of the lid there, I think of it as a pretty useful little bit of counterweight that can actually help stabilize and hold that lid down, especially when you're thinking about the function of pouring and moving the teapot. So where you have those surfaces, um, and they feel like they just don't really have as snug a fit as you want. Yes, you can experiment and do it without glaze, and then you'll have the clay against clay, but you still, you know, can benefit by exploring the deeper flange or the deeper foot on the bottom. Giving you that counterweight is a huge thing. I do that so that I can confidently pour the last bit of the bottom of my teapot out. We do think of the fact that when we're pouring, we're often holding the lid as we pour. And that's another thing that, holding on will give you that little thing. But to make it easier for people when we're thinking about the forms and functions. Now, one of the things I would be encouraging during the workshop is for folks to pass their work around, if it's safe to do so, to the other participants to get other perspectives, not just my own. And this is one of the benefits of being together and in a group of peers that are working in clay. So I don't know if Jenny, if you have a moment, you can pick up that teapot, give it a little look, and hearing about the concerns or the thoughts that were just expressed about the functionality of it and the security of the lid. When you feel it and take the lid off and on, what do you notice?
So even when I just grabbed it from her hand, the lid
Yes,
shifts around a little bit.
got it.
So yeah, I think making that gallery more generous in here and then
Hmm.
not necessarily deeper in, but wider versus this part that's raised, I think would help. And then the other thing that I would find would help would be making this longer. And then lastly, I've also seen people put like a little nub and then it kind of catches. And if you put that at the back, then it
Yeah.
can't come out.
Yeah, a locking teapot lid
Hmm.
does have some great benefit to it for the tipping and pouring and feeling really secure about that. The engineering of that is a really fun puzzle when it comes to thinking about how to design and create that in a way that aesthetically goes with your work. And can either be a feature to add on to it or just wonderfully subtly hidden below so the top doesn't show that amazing mechanism.
Yeah.
The hand built trays that you've got there, Samantha, I just was wondering what your process of forming. Are you using molds? Do you just free form?
So a lot of my work is I do use some templates and some molds that I have.
Mhm.
These ones I rolled out some slabs and then I cut them into an oval shape. I used one of the forms that we have just available at the studio that's an oval just so that I could get a really nice perfect oval. And
Mhm.
then for the lip here, I did end up just kind of like free forming it, just taking my finger and rubbing along just to
Beautiful.
create a little bit of a ridge.
Mhm.
Some pieces that I make, I will take like a big sponge and I will press like a form into the clay and that
Yeah.
will shape it into kind of like a bowl or something. And then I will cut out pieces either freehand or with like a little cookie cutter type deal and add
Mhm.
those things on. So I have feet on here that are like
Beautiful.
little scalloped cookie cutters, I'll say. And then I've also got the same shape as the handles, and it's all slab built.
Beautiful, beautiful. I love the use of your press molding into the sponge. That is one of the great sort of spontaneous ways of creating a nice little curved shape that I'm a big fan of. And the fact that you can custom make molds for yourself for press molding. I use bisque and make thicker slabs and cut out shapes to make the interior curve and form of a dish and place some handles on the back of that. So when you're thinking about branching away from the shapes that you have already done or have at the studio access to and start to sort of want to customize those things, that's a great place to sort of leap off from.